Peace and happiness to all of you that are watching this video. So I'm going to show you a quick demo on how to use Claude AI to write your entire book. So I'm talking about your book, your paperback book, your physical book, right? Claude is going to write it, and then you're going to use Amazon KDP to upload it. So I'm going to show you how to upload, right? I'm going to show you the uploading process. So this is how to upload a book. So, right? So you have your paperback. So that's your physical book. And then you have your ebook, your Kindle. So in this video, what I'm going to do is this, right? I'm going to show you how to use Claude, right? So because Claude can write the entire book. I'm talking about the entire book, from formatting, manuscript. Inside Claude, you can even you can prompt Claude to design the cover for you. As you can see here, this is a cover, right? This is the cover for the book that prompted. Now look at this simple prompt that I gave. I just gave it a simple prompt, right? Here's the prompt that I gave. I said, write a book for Amazon KDP about starting a business with no money. Trim size is 5.5 by 8.5. Total pages 50. And then the target audience is new business owner. The trim size, that's the size of the book, because when you're uploading the book on Amazon KDP, Amazon is going to ask you for the trim size. What size is your book, right? Because not all books come, all books are not the same size. They come in different sizes. So let me give you a quick walkthrough, right? So now I have several windows open, right? But this is all Claude, right? Because I have different windows inside Claude just to show you the different types of books that you can create or that I've created. Now, what I'm going to do is this. The first thing you need is you need to register for an Amazon KDP account, which is free. Here's the website. Go to kdp.amazon.com and then register for a free Amazon KDP account. Listen, if you don't have an Amazon KDP account by now, you are delaying your own progress, because it's free. You can print books. See, you can self-publish print books, digital books, right? And all types of books. So that's the link right there, amazonkdp.com. Go and set up your free account where you can upload your books, right? So that's the first thing, right? Amazon KDP. And then also you need a Claude account. You need a subscription account, right? The paid account will do it, not the free account. Because with the free account, you run into a limitation where you run out of tokens or you run out of credit. So you need the Claude AI paid account for you to for Claude to be able to write or produce the entire book for you. Okay. So now, what is the process? So once you are inside Claude, you can pretty much do you can accomplish the entire process from writing the book and also designing the cover. So now let me walk you through. Here's a book that I've already created, right? So I'm just going to show you what the prompt that I used, and I'm going to show you Claude AI's reasoning, or what it did, and then I'm going to show you, right? If I go back here, let me see here, right? I'm going to show you the book. Remember, I said I have several screens open right now because I was doing, because I want to show you. Okay, here's the book right here. So these are some of the books that I've published. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So here's the book right here, right? So I'm going to show you, because I've already uploaded it. So I've already started it. So I'm going to, I'll show you a step-by-step on how to do it, right? I'm not going to upload it, but I'll just show you, right, what you need to do and stuff, the step-by-step. Okay, now, so listen. Okay, so let's go back here. What I'll do is I'll leave the link below to our academy, or to our membership, to our community. So if you're interested, if you're a consultant, if you're a business owner, if you're a professional, if you're a subject matter expert and you want to know how to use AI to write an entire book, then the link is going to be below in the description section and also in the comment section to our community, where you can join and ask any question about self-publishing. Okay, so let's start with the prompt. This is all inside Claude AI. Here's the prompt that I gave it, right? Write a book for Amazon KDP about starting a business with no money. And then the trim size, right? The trim size is the book size, 5.5 by 8.5. Total pages 50. The target audience is new business owner. Okay, so and then boom, they started producing the manuscript. So as you can see here, it's planning, right? It's showing you the sequence in terms of what it was doing, right? Okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay, KDP compliance, 5.5. So there's the book size. And then after that, it gave me the first draft, right? So the first version. So once you get the first draft, then you can prompt it. So let me click on it. So here's the first draft that it gave me, right? So once you get your first draft, then you can, read it through, go through it. You can either read it through or scan it, so here's the book, right? So you can read it to see if there's any adjustments that needs to be done, right? If there's any refinements, or if you need to update any information, right? So here's the first draft, right? So usually the first draft, you want to read it through and then just continue chatting, just continue having a conversation. If you need to make any adjustments, then you just, tell Claude to do that, right? Or just input your instructions. Can you change this? Can you change chapter 1? Can you change chapter 2? Can you add this can you add this information? And you just continue, right? And you continue, and it's going to give you a second draft, and it's going to give you until you are satisfied with your, with the manuscript, right? So, okay, as you can see here, here's the book, right? So it wrote the entire book. Now, Claude wrote the entire book, right? It came up with the content, right? Because remember, Claude is a large language model. So it has data, it has knowledge about different subjects, different topics, different, right? It has a, it has a body of knowledge. So it knows a lot. It knows about different topics, right? It has information about different topics, right? So it could be, your topic could be starting a business, your topic could be any topic that you can come up with. So you come up with the prompt, you come up with the core idea, and then Claude will write the entire book, okay? And then you go through it, right? And then inside Claude, as I said, you can also create the book cover, right? Now, I'm going to do another video for that, for the book cover, right? On how to create the book cover. Let me show you what the book cover is. Now, I'm showing you this step-by-step instruction, because you're not going to see this often. You're not going to see this instruction or this demo video on YouTube, right? Because on YouTube, you're going to get the abbreviated, or you're going to get the vague and, just the shortened version of it. But here, I'm walking you through so you can see what's happening inside Claude. So that way you don't miss any steps. So that way you know that, okay, this is what I need to do, right? So as I said, your prompt, you enter your prompt. Your prompt is your command, your instruction, your core idea. What book do you want Claude to write? What book do you want Claude to write about, right? And then you give it the trim size. Now, okay, so what I did was this, right? I created something called a skill, right? Inside Claude. And I'm also going to talk about the skill in the next video, right? So I created a skill. The skill is, it allows me, or allows Claude, to create a nonfiction book for KDP that is KDP compliant. So here's a skill that I created, right? So basically what I did was I created a complete system for writing Amazon KDP compliant nonfiction books and ebooks from idea to publish ready manuscript, right? So Claude handles all book types, whether it's workbook, how-to guide, self-help, instruction, step-by-step, resources, right? And then, so here's the workflow. So I created a workflow, an entire system, a workflow inside Claude. So therefore, all I have to do is I just have to give it the prompt. I have to give it the core idea. I give it the trim size, or the size of the book, the number of pages, and then Claude writes the entire book. So it's a system, or it's a workflow that I created, right? It's called the skills. As you can see, here's the skill, right? So once you create the skill once, then you don't have to create it again, because now Claude has that skill embedded in its, right, in its database. So it has it embedded within its environment. So all you got to do, so every time you want to produce a book, you just give it the core idea, the prompt, the instruction, right, the size, the trim size, the total pages, and then the audience. And then Claude is going to produce a repeatable, consistent output all the time based on your input. Why? Because we created a workflow, right? The workflow is an entire system that was created using Claude. Now, this workflow, or this system, is available inside our membership community, right? Or you can also create your own using Claude. Now, we created an extensive workflow, right? Based on research, based on, right, different types of research, different types of data that we were able to get, and then we created this. Now, as I said, you can create your own, right? Or you can use the workflow that we've already created, right? So this workflow is plug and play because it's an entire system, as you can see here, step-by-step instruction, right? It requires, right? So that way, when you're uploading your book on Amazon KDP, right, you're meeting Amazon KDP standard or their content guideline, right? So therefore your books is not going to get rejected because you don't meet, right? So for example, if your book doesn't meet Amazon content requirement, it will get blocked or will get rejected because it either has a copyright restriction on it or content that is not suitable for Amazon KDP to publish it. So to avoid that, to avoid any copyright, right, to avoid any restriction content or to avoid any formatting error, that's why having a creating a system or creating a workflow or creating a skill inside Claude makes, this is what expedites the process for you, right? It creates efficiency. It creates a workflow whereby you just have to prompt it. Now, I said all that to say because this is a very important step. If you miss this step, then no matter what you do, your book is always going to get rejected because you don't meet, right? You're not going to meet Amazon's content guideline, right? Because if your book doesn't meet if it doesn't meet the content guideline, it's going to get rejected. It's going to get rejected every single time. For example, let me show you. I'm showing you this because this is very important. You have to understand this. It's not just about uploading a book or publishing a book. You have to understand Amazon KDP's content guidelines, right? When it comes to book, you have to make sure your book is not infringing upon other people's copyright, right? It's not offensive, right? Now, if you can use artificial intelligence, as you can see here, Amazon is telling you, yeah, you can use artificial intelligence. Just make sure that you disclaim it or you divulge that information. Other than that, everything else, right? You have to make sure you're not using public domain content. So this is a very important process that a lot of people miss. So if you're watching this and you're still here, then you're on the right path, all right? You're on the right track. Because if you write a book, because you can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini to write a book, but if that book doesn't meet, if it doesn't adhere to Amazon's content guideline, then your book is going to get rejected all the time because Amazon is telling you, you have to make sure your book it's not illegal. I mean, it doesn't, right? Here we go. So let me just read this, right? Illegal infringing content. We take violation of laws and proprietary rights very seriously, right? It is the responsibility of authors, publishers, right? So let me highlight that for you, right? It is the responsibility of authors, publishers, and selling partners to ensure their content doesn't violate laws or copyright, trademark, and brand privacy. Copyright, right? Oh, okay. We will not accept content under copyright that is freely available, right? So you have to meet, right? You have to make sure that you're adhering to their content policy, right? And then as you can see here, aspect, okay? So now, let me continue here, right? All right, so now you have the foundation. So now you know what Amazon requires from you, right? In terms of your book, right? Guidelines is the content guidelines, and there is the content quality, right? So your book has to meet their, certain requirements, format. So this is where the system comes in, right? This is where the workflow comes in, the skills comes in. As I said, you can create the skills. We also have the skill inside our academy or inside our membership. So the link is below in the description section and in the comment section. Because what we've done is we created an entire skill that you can just upload and then plug and play. Now, I'm saying this because you have to understand this, because if you don't, your book is going to get rejected every single time, because Amazon KDP is a great platform to publish your books, right? Once you have a book published, it becomes your asset, especially if let's say if you're a business owner, if you are a consultant, your business, your book is your asset. So without that being said, let's get back into this, right? Claude AI tutorial. Now, I was really focusing on that area because most people, they miss that step, which is the foundation, which is the most important element or the most important part, right? Because if your book doesn't meet Amazon KDP's requirement, it's going to get rejected every single time, because it's easy to upload a book, but your book has to meet the requirement. Okay. So now going back here, right? Let me see. Okay, where was I? Okay, you give it a prompt. Now, I really don't want to complicate this thing, right? I don't want to complicate it, and I don't want to drag this video too long because it's really straightforward, especially when it comes to Claude. Once you have the skill set, right, you just prompt it because the skill set now knows what to avoid, right? Because here, let me show you this, right? KDP content rules. Because you see, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to sell this system here, right? We have it available in our community or inside our, but I want to show you the difference between just prompting it, right, and getting an output that doesn't meet Amazon KDP's content guideline, and right, and the difference between that and when you create a system, when you create a workflow, right? Because inside the workflow, right, Amazon KDP already has the guideline. It knows that it knows not to create any book that is offensive, that is discriminatory or harmful content, right? It knows not to plagiarize or use public domain book, right? It knows not to use misleading claims, and it knows that it needs to create a disclaimer every time you write a book. So I want you to really understand it, because if you miss this point, no matter what you do, what platform you use, whether you're using ChatGPT, Gemini, or even if you're using Claude, if you don't create that skill, your book is going to get blocked every time because you don't meet the guideline, right? So I wanted you to really understand that, right? So if I go back here, all right, you give it a prompt, and then it will give you the book, right? And then from there you can just, communicate back and forth. Now, once your book is produced, you download it, and then once you download it, this is where you come right inside Amazon KDP, right? So let me go here first. Okay, so what you do is you go to create, right? And you go to create paperback book because you want to create a physical book, right? And then from here, there's just 3 steps that you have to go through. Step number 1 is you enter your book detail, right? The language, the book title. You don't need to worry about that. That's optional. You don't need to worry about that. And then you go the author, your name, if there's any other contributor, and you put the book description, the publishing rights. The publishing right is you own the rights to that, right? Because you created the book. It's your input and it's your output. You use Claude, but it's your input, right? Your primary audience, primary marketplace, and then you choose a category, right? And then the release date, right? And then you go to the next step. Let me see if it's gonna allow me to go to the next step. Save and continue. Okay, maybe let me see. Yeah, so I need to actually enter that step by step. But let me show you. Let me use one of the books that I already started with. Okay, so let me use this here. So if I go to continue setup here, all right, so I'm just showing you the step by step, okay, because I already completed the setup. So you see the book title, right? Here's a book title. I was just putting this as a demonstration. So book title, publishing, right? The author's name, right? Description, test, right? So I'm just showing you some, just so that way I can move to the next step, right? The publishing rights, you have the publishing rights, primary audience, right? You enter that. You enter your category, your primary marketplace. Are you in Amazon.com, the .ca? What country are you in, right? So the marketplace is where you're located, or where you're going to be selling that book, or where you think the majority of your audience resides, right? So if it's in the States, if it's in Europe, if it's in France, then you select the marketplace, okay? And then keywords, right? So you can put in the keywords for, when people are searching for your book, right? How to eat or how to cook, right? Those are the keywords. It's optional, but it's recommended that it's good practice that you use it, right? You want to use that, and then save and continue, right? So this is step number 2 now. Okay. So that's you seeing, okay, you just saw step number 1, very straightforward, nothing too complicated. ISBN, here you just click where it says free ISBN, right? Amazon is going to create a free ISBN for you, so you don't have to worry about that, right? So now here's what I was talking about, print options, right? So this is where you select, right, the interior. What color do you want the paper to be, right? So it could be white, or you can select cream, right? most books are usually, the interior is either cream, black and white interior with cream paper, or black and white interior with white paper, right? So those are the most common options that you can, right? So everything else, you don't really need to focus, right? You just need to select either one of these two. And then here, your trim size, right? So your trim size now goes back to, remember the prompt that I gave it, right? Where is it? So you see, this is why it's important for you to watch videos, for you to watch step-by-step tutorial videos, so you understand what's going on. You see? So the trim size, 5.5 by 8.5, right? Because it's going to ask you for your trim size here. Your trim size, what is your book trim? Because if you put the wrong trim size, guess what? Your book is not going to, Amazon is not going to approve your book because you have the wrong trim size. So that's why, right, when you input it here, when you give that instruction to Claude, the trim size is the size of your book, right? Now, here's a homework for you, right? If you go to any bookstore, you'll see this different sizes, right? So what you want to do is this, you can either measure, right, just kind of, measure the sizes of the books so you know what book size will fit your, your topic, right? So if you're writing about something that is more hands-on, or maybe you need a larger size, so which is a handbook size, or paper, something, right? So, but the most common size book is 5.5 and 8.5, right? That's the most popular size book. 5.5 by 8.5, and then also 6.5, as you can see here, right? Most popular standard trim sizes: 6 by 9, 5 by 8, and then 5.5 by 8.5, 5.5 by 8.5. Those 5.5 by 8 by 8.5, right? What am I saying? 5.5 by 8.5, right? That's the most popular trim sizes, right? Now, most of you are not aware of this information, so that's why I'm doing an in-depth step-by-step tutorial, so that way you don't miss out on this information, right? So, and then you choose your paper, your cover, your paperback cover finish, right? So either matte or glossy, right? So if you go to any bookstore, you can feel, right? Like you look at the cover, the texture, right? The feel, right? So if you feel it, it will either be glossy or it will be matte, right? Matte is more like, glossy, it's like it's glossy. And then matte is, the texture is more smooth. The surface is more smooth, right? It's more like a fabric, or close to a fabric, right? And then upload your manuscript, right? Here, I've already uploaded it. So here is my manuscript right here. So 0, right? So I just downloaded it. So you download your manuscript and then you upload it. And then here, this is where you get to choose your upload a cover that you already have. Print ready PDF only. So as you can see here, inside Claude, you can ask Claude to create, let me see here, or no, you see, because Claude can create the cover for you, right? So PDF. So if I go back here, let me show you this, right? Now listen, this is this is a step-by-step tutorial, right? So if it's taking longer, then this is what it is, because you need to understand this from the beginning to the end. You don't want to miss any steps. So I'm not rushing, because I want you to, I don't want to miss any steps. So when you're publishing your book, you have an idea. You already know, okay, I know what my trim size is going to be like. It's going to look like. I know what the, all right, I know the formatting. Okay, I'm looking for, I wanted to show you the cover, the book cover. Oh, no, actually, I'm on the wrong chat. Okay, so it's this one here. 0 to open PDF. Okay, so here it is. Okay, let me just click on that. Oh, no, right? Because I wanted to show you the book cover, right? Is this it? No, because Claude can actually design the book cover for you, right? This is the manuscript, right? The book cover is somewhere here. Where is it, right? Okay, this is the PDF. No, this is the, see, this is Claude's environment. This is Claude, right? Because this is a basic one, right? This is a basic book cover. So what I did was I used Claude with another platform, which is Higgsfield, right? Higgsfield created the image for me, because Higgsfield uses Chat GPT, or uses GPT 2.0, right? Now that's another video. I'm gonna talk about that in another video, right? Because now it's like it's integrating different platforms together. Because I just want to show you. I want to make sure, where is it? KDP ebook cover. Okay, I want to show you the book cover. Okay, the book cover, is this the one? GPT. Okay, no, that's not that. This is so yeah, okay, so there it is right here. Right, so there's the book, right? There's the book cover right there. So what you can do is you download the book cover, right? You download the book cover, right? And then once you download it, then you come here and then you upload it. That's it, right? That's why, listen, that's why being part of a membership is important. So that way, when you get stuck, you can ask questions, right? So that's why I'm going to leave the link below to our community, to our membership. Once you're in, if you have any questions that you can ask, so that way when you get stuck, then then you can ask any question. Now, here's the most important thing, because a lot of people are scared to publish AI books. But listen, you don't have to be scared anymore. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Why? Because Amazon accepts AI generated book. You just have to disclose that information, right? Did you use, so here it is, right? Did you use AI tools in creating text, images, or translation in your book? Yes, right? What did you do? So you can, let's say if you use the entire, like if Claude wrote the book, the entire book, then you go entire book with extensive editing, right? And then you just put the name of the AI tool that you use. So in this case, we use Claude AI. That's it, right? And then if you use any images, you can also do that. We can also mention that as well. And then that's pretty much it, right? So Amazon accepts AI written books. So if your entire book was written by Claude, then you can just, disclose that information, and then that's it. And then you can preview your book, right? Now, before you publish your book, right, you want to request a proof copy. A proof copy is basically what your book will look like once it's published, right? So you can request a physical proof copy of your book before you publish, right? But I'm just going to launch the preview, show you what it looks like. Because remember I said it's a 3-step process, right? Step number 1, you enter the detail. Step number 2, this is where we are. And then here, right? So now here you see, if there's any error in your cover design or in your manuscript, you're going to see it here. It's going to tell you that there's an error, right? So right now, everything looks good. There's no error. If there's an error, this section is going to be, right? There's going to be some red subtitle or some red subheading, and then there's going to be a description of the error, right? Or what you need to do. This part here, yeah, because if this part is, if it's not formatted properly, your book is also going to get rejected, right? Because it's giving you a preview of what your book is going to look like. So this is the cover, this is the front, and then the back, and then inside is your manuscript, right? So this is the interior, right? So this is the interior. This is your manuscript, okay? This is your manuscript, and then here is how many pages, right? Now the minimum page that you can, Amazon accepts books that are, the minimum page is 24. So anything under 24 pages, Amazon will not accept it, right? So the minimum page for your book is 24. So if it's 24, then yeah, anything less than 24 pages, Amazon is not going to accept it, right? And then, right, there's really no maximum. You can go as high as 800 pages, right? But for a book, you want to keep it to, 100 to 150 pages, the most, especially if you're doing nonfiction books, right? So nonfiction books, business books, because nowadays people don't really read the entire book from front to back. They skip chapters, right? So, 100 to 100 and say 100 and, if your book is anywhere from 100 to 130 page, then you are, that's reasonable enough, right? Okay. So now once you go through your manuscript, then you just go either approve or exit, right? So in this case, we're going to go, let's just do exit preview. We're just going to exit it. Okay. We're just going to exit it. And then, because I wanted to there's one more step. Okay. Let me actually, because my battery is about to die. Okay. Let me finish this up for you. All right, now listen, if you've been watching up until this point, if you like this content, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. All right, okay, all right, and then the last step. So here's a summary. Look at this. This is how much it costs. It only costs $2.99 for you to publish a book. Now, here's the thing, though, right? So Amazon has a range. If your book is between, so if it's between, in terms of the page count, right? So if it's 24 to all the way to 108 pages, it's the same price. So here is $33, so I'm paying the same price. If my book was if the page count was 57 pages, it will be the same price. All right, this is your printing cost for that book. So it's not per page, it's for the entire book. So if my book was 105 pages, it will be the same price, right? So there's like they have a range, right? So anywhere from, let's say anything over 110 page is around, I think it's like $3.02, right? So you want to maximize on the page count, right? Because if your book is only 57 page, your print cost is the same, right? If it's 100, it's still the same. There's a range, right? So you remember that, okay? And then, okay, so always request a proof before you publish. So the last step is where you publish your book. You enter your prices, your market price and all that. And then, right? So this is the last step, right? So paperback rights and pricing, you know, this section here, yeah, you always click this. I think it will be default, right? That will be the defaulted selection. And primary marketplace, and then you can select your marketplace. So I've already selected it, Amazon.ca. That's where you either going to be selling your book, or where your audience resides, or where you reside. So it really depends on you. If your market or if your audience is in the States, or if your audience is in Europe or in France or in Japan, then that will be your primary marketplace. Okay, and then you enter your price, and then after that, right, once you enter your price, okay, because let me show you, let me put the price here, $10, and then here, boom, okay. Once you hit publish, then it will take up to 72 hours for Amazon to review the book and then approve it, right? But I said, before you hit publish, you want to order the proof copy first, okay. Let's just go back here. But once you publish it, it takes up to 72 hours for Amazon to publish. But most of the time, if you meet their criteria, their content guideline, which I was talking about, right? You meet their content guideline, they will approve it within an hour. Most of the time, it either takes long, the time frame is longer because your book has to go through a machine learning or an AI or manual review, because it doesn't adhere to their standards or to their content guidelines, right? Content guideline and content quality. So if it doesn't meet that, then it might take longer for them to approve it. But if you meet that, or if you adhere to that, or if you pass that, or if if your book is it's compliant, it meets the guideline, then in an hour, in less than an hour, an hour or so, your book will be approved, right? That's why creating that skills is very important, right? That workflow inside Claude. Because if you don't have that skills enabled inside Claude, then Claude is just going to be a generalist. It's going to write a book, but it's not going to be, that book or that content is not going to be specific to Amazon KDP's content, or it's not going to meet their content guidelines. So having this system workflow is very important. So that way you are avoiding all the what do you call it? The technicality or the errors that Amazon does not want you to have in their book, right? Like for example, right? So you see here the front, right? Everything has to be like, so these are all Amazon KDP's guidelines, right? Or formatting requirement that you have to meet. If you don't meet this, then your book is not going to get approved. So having the skills is very important. As I said, you can create the skills, or you can, because what we did was the skill that we created, we did a lot of research on it. We combined different types of element, right? Different types of data in it, right? So as I said, the link is below. It's going to be in our membership academy, and inside the membership academy, it actually shows you how to upload the skills, right? Because you can create the skills, or you can upload a skill, right? You can create a skill with Claude, you can write a skill, or you can upload a skill. So you have three options. You can create, you can write the skills, you can create it, you can write it manually, or you can upload an existing skill. So this skill here, we are providing it inside our membership academy, our membership community. You can just upload it, right? When you come to Claude, upload, and then we show you, there's a video in terms of how to upload it. If you do this, you don't have to worry about your book being rejected because you already meet the guidelines. Okay. Now, as I said, before you want to save without content. Yeah. Before you publish your book, you want to make sure you first order a proof copy. It usually takes anywhere from 2 to 3 business days or 2 to 3 days for you to get it, right? You just pay the printing cost plus shipping and taxes, right? So order a proof copy, because the proof copy is a sample of what the book will look like, right? You pay the printing cost and the shipping, right? But in terms of, look at this, your book, right? Let's say your book is 110 pages. Your print cost is only $2 or only $3, right? And this is for the entire book, not per page, the entire book. So, right, this is what I was talking about. You have to understand your trim size, your book size, right? You have to understand, right? Because if you don't know what a book size looks like, then uploading is going to be difficult for you, because then you're not going to know what the book size is, right? Hopefully this was educational, it was insightful. I think I'm going to end it here. As I said, I'll leave the link below to our membership academy, and subscribe to the channel. I have more content that I'm going to be uploading, because listen, AI is here to stay. AI is not going anywhere. Everyone is using AI right now. The publishing industry is panicking, right? They're in a panic mode because they don't want you to know about this, because once you figured it out, once you understand this knowledge, there's no need to go to a publisher anymore, right? You can just self-publish your own book. The only time that it makes sense for you to go to a publisher, if you have an existing audience, right? If you have an existing audience and right, and then you have the capital, you have the money, then you can go to a traditional publisher. But if you're self-publishing and you are, right, because you're going to have to do the work yourself in terms of marketing, right? In terms of finding your audience. So if you're gonna, if that's the route that you're gonna take, then self-publishing is the way, right? The traditional way, you have to have an audience, and your idea has to fit their criteria in terms of who they're looking for. So nowadays, listen, self-publishing is the way. So make sure you set up your Amazon KDP account and meet and adhere to their content guidelines, so that way they don't shut down or they don't suspend your account because you're not adhering to their guidelines. You're just publishing any type of book, right? You have harmful content. Because if you keep doing that, if you keep publishing book that is offensive, discriminatory, hateful content, or you're plagiarizing content, then your account is going to be terminated. So don't get your account terminated. So that's why, right, if you're going to use AI, make sure the AI is not plagiarizing or is not infringing upon other people's rights, right? It's not using copyrighted content. So that's why creating that skills is very important. So that way Claude becomes a plug-and-play system where you just give it the prompt, right? And then boom, and then it writes the entire content for you. Because as I said, I don't know if I mentioned this, I was talking to a client, I was showing them this process. When I showed them this, right, they were impressed, but they also asked me, because they didn't know, right? They asked me, wow, this is fascinating. how did you come up with the content? I'm like, no, I didn't come up with the content. Claude came up with the content, right? I just gave it the prompt, the simple prompt, and Claude organized it, tabulated, it formatted the entire book. All I did was just downloaded it, and then I went on Amazon KDP to publish it. Okay, so listen, I'm going to end it here. Make sure to like, subscribe. Hopefully this video was educational. It's a little bit longer, but this is what you need, right? You need a step-by-step tutorial to learn, to know how to do this, right? As I said, the first thing is make sure you set up your account, your free account with Amazon KDP, and then you can take it from there. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.